what? You want to fight crime? Let's get dangerous.
And here we are. I guess it wasn't already set here, but we're here. It is 9 o'clock. Well, actually 9:01 now, but it's that time on a Saturday where we have our usual discussion right here on From the Desk of Small Press Publisher. I'm your host, Joe D. McPhee, and I hope that you guys are having a great Saturday. I'm a little bit tired, but I will explain why, but we want to still have, nonetheless, a great evening show here for you. We may not go the full 2 hours. We might end up cutting it off maybe about the 1 hour to 1.5 hour mark, somewhere up in between there, unless you guys got plenty of questions and plenty of things that you guys want to talk about here. So on that note, let's go ahead and get into the business side of things here by letting you guys know that Stupid O'Clock happens 1 hour into the show here. That is followed up by Last Man Standing at 1 a.m. Eastern. Then you get a respite until Monday morning, where you get Nicholas Tucker and Nevermind the Furthermore at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And yes, indeedy do, this will be another Comic Book Spectrum this upcoming Thursday at 7 p.m. Central, 8 p.m. Eastern. And on that note here, and we got people coming in. Oh, Elaine is here. So we got Elaine in the house already. So without further ado here, let's go ahead and get into it. Let's do our due diligence, because it is that time for most people's favorite part of the show, new comic book pickups for the week here. And we got another stack here. Yeah, it's getting close to tax time here, and this might be slowing down a bit, but at least all the last bit of stuff for the holidays are finally coming in. Right here, I have this small package. It has 6 issues up in it, but this is the full run of Eclipse Comics Champions. And this version of Champions was from the role-playing game of Champions. If you remember the role-playing game of Champions, this was the full comic book set of that as a whole here. And we got, yep, she's saying yay for new comic book pickups for the week here. And then that gets followed up by Gen 13 number 4 from the first volume here. So this is a lot of old school J. Scott Campbell goodness here before he started drawing everybody the exact same way. And then we got Panther number 1 from Dynamite, which is, you know, this homage here, one of the most overdone homages ever. But it is Panther number 1. We're going to follow that up with, I believe, yeah, this is Red Sonja number 0 from volume 4. This is from the Dynamite run. And then we're going to get into some New Mutants books here. We got New Mutants 29 and 30. That was pretty nice. Then we got Jack Kirby's New Gods number 3. I believe this is from volume 3 of New Gods. Then we got another copy of Dawn 10th Anniversary. And then we got another copy of Teen Titans #1 from the New 52. I believe this is a variant copy, or yeah, it's a variant. This one I believe is a variant for that run of Teen Titans here. And then I got some extra books here. I wouldn't say extra, but it's extras on the account that I already had a copy of each one of these. But we got some Lois Lanes here. We got Lois Lane 133 about her being a bomb, a living bomb here. And then we got the second issue here dealing with Wonder Woman and Superman being a super team here. This is not the first appearance of Wonder Woman in Lois Lane. There's another one where we had the old school depowered version of Wonder Woman. I believe that was, I want to say it's like 122 or something like that, but I could look that up a little bit later to be more accurate. And then we got some more modern New Mutants here. I believe this is New Mutants Volume 3, which is a variant issue of number 6. And I have issue number 25, which is also a variant. And then we got the variant. No, yeah, this is the variant issue of Strange number 8. So now I have the full Strange series for this one. And for those who don't know what the Strange series is about here, this is Clea taking over as Sorcerer Supreme after the death of Stephen Strange. So she had a nice, I think it was like a 10-issue run of Strange here. And then this, I believe, is from, I believe this is volume from 2024. So yeah, this might be volume 6 of X-Men. So X-Men number 3. And then I got X-Men number 20, which is from volume 4. And then I got another copy, and this is a pretty nice copy, other than the fact of some of the tanning and a little bit of water damage down here of Mr. Miracle number 2, First Grainy Goodness. And then we got the hip hop cover version of this is the second one that I got, the hip hop cover version of Jessica Jones number 1. I got a second copy of Silver Sable and Wild Pack number 23. And then we got some classic Wonder Woman starting with volume 1, 259. This is another clash between her and Hercules. And no, they brought him back though. They did bring him back. So Stephen Strange is back, but there was a time where he was dead, or as you call it, croaked out. He did die, and Clea took his place as Sorcerer Supreme. To me, she did a pretty good job, considering the fact that she had to overcome a lot of her urges just to be like less, if I could say, chaotic. And, you know, actually started to give a care about a lot of stuff. But getting back to it, we got another copy of Wonder Woman 191. Outside of this little bit up here, it is a nice little copy of 191. And then we cut our Wonder Woman search down by one more book, because now I finally got a copy of 160. Now, why 160 is so important? Because technically this is the first appearance of Cheetah in the Silver Age. So that's why 160 is so important. This is considered a highly sought after key issue if you are a Wonder Woman fan collecting volume 1 Wonder Woman here. So All that would be explained in a little bit when we get into our updates here. In addition to that, we got the Superior Spider-Man 11. I believe this is from Volume 1 of Superior Spider-Man. And those who haven't read Superior Spider-Man, this one is a treat here. I like Superior Spider-Man. Contrary to popular beliefs, I like the idea of Doc Ock Spider-Man. Doc Ock's brain and Peter Parker's body, and he's pretty much, going through the motions of being Peter. I actually liked it. It was a very great series here. And Elaine is saying, "Yepers, I think I read that one when I was a kid." Yep. And then we got the A cover. This is the A cover of Strange number 8. So, like I said, I finally completed my Strange collection here. So that's the only issue that I haven't read as of yet. And then we got more duplicates here for, I believe this is Spider-Woman Volume 7. So these are duplicates, except for the last issue here. So we got another copy of 11, 14, 15, 16, 17, and 18. I believe is that's the only one that I have here. How superior can he be if he's in a cage? No, that's just the cover. That's just the cover. That's just the cover and everything here. And then we got another copy of Uncanny X-Men Annual number 9. And this, again, classic. You can't beat the classics here. And I believe that this is a newsstand copy of it. That's when Storm had the powers of Thor. Then we got another copy of Promethea number 1, which I kind of like here. And then we got part 4 of the 4-part series for Tigra. So that came in. We have now officially got up to date with all Catwoman from Volume 5 now, because this was the only issue that I was missing from Volume 5. So now I'm current. So I got everything that is Catwoman up under the Catwoman title, minus annuals from the original series from like 1982 to now, because of this one issue here. We got another copy of the Red Sonja movie part 2, which is great within itself here. Hey, Leia isn't here, therefore I am required to help you. Yep, that's fine. No worries here. Now, outside of having issue number 1, which I believe I have, I just haven't found it in storage. This next set of issues that I show you completes, I believe it is Volume 4 of Squadron Supreme. So starting from issue number 6, 7, 8, 9, and that is Power Princess right there, Zadra. And then we have that's Hyperion, Tundra. I forgot who she is and who he is, and there's Namor in the back, because this volume of Squadron Supreme is pretty much that they were dealing more with, like, during the time frame of the invaders and everything, and a few others here. And that's Namor and Zadra, and you have a couple of others, and then they up here. It's like, oh, we defeated Namor, and Namor comes back because he got thrown into the sea, and then the Atlanteans up here. It's like, now you're about to really become our king and everything. And in the last issue, they pretty much get caught and been brought to justice again. But again, you have to understand the whole Squadron Supreme storyline and dynamic ever since Volume 1. and understand the difference between them being heroes from time to time to being villains when they cross over to being Squadron Sinister. They're not all. It's like, in the best way I could put it, Marvel tried to give fans what they wanted. Back in the day, it's like, who was the greater team, the Avengers or the Justice League? So they eventually invented their version of the Justice League, which was Squadron Supreme. So, they did, the miniseries. Well, actually, Squadron Supreme was predates back into the Silver Age in the Avengers comic books, and then eventually they got their own series in the early 80s, and then from there they just pop up from time to time with stories here. So that's pretty much all of the new comic book pickups for the week here. This means that this is probably going to be like box number 8 that I have to take to storage until have to wait until the weather gets better, where I can take all this stuff to storage and get them into short boxes and everything here. Which means that brings us to the updates portion of our show here. And updates are going to be in 2 forms here. We're going to do the collector's update first, which gives you an idea of all the major collections that I am still working on to complete here and where I stand at as far as those are concerned here. And we got, oh, there she is. Well, you don't tell me silence. I'm not do-broing. I'm not going up here. Oh, speaking of do-broing, wait till we get to tonight's topic. Tonight's topic is definitely a do-bro topic, which is going to drive me up the wall, because when I saw it and then I started to look into it, it's like, I have to ask the question, are we as collectors to blame for a lot of these so-called scams that are happening today? I mean, this stuff, you can't make some of this stuff up. You can't make it up. You can't. It's silly. But getting back to the collector's update here, we are going to. She's like, yes. Dubor ruined everything. Evening later, he was just being smarting because I was, that's not 100% true, but she did try to fill in where people were leaving off here. But our updates here, no change in the Film Force collection as of yet here. I did not get any missing issues from 108 and above as of yet here. So that it pretty much stays the same here. Unfortunately, the Spider-Woman stuff still haven't stayed. Is still the same here. We're still missing 13 from the non-Jessica Drew volume, which is volume 3. We're still missing 4 and 6 from volume 5, 19 through 21 for volume 7, and 5 and 7 from volume 8. The Uncanny X-Men stuff is pretty much still the same here, except that I'm quite certain that 24 is in storage here. I haven't made the attempt to try to acquire that, but for some reason, I find it more difficult to find more modern X-Men than the older stuff. And I don't understand why, everybody is so enamored with volume 1 Uncanny X-Men more so than the newer stuff. And if people are not into the newer stuff, how come it's not more readily available? Even at cover price, it just seems kind of weird. But nevertheless, no real changes there. The only change that I have for the X-Men update, and we're talking about the series that began with Jim Lee's X-Men from 1991. I did not realize that there was a volume 6 until I got issue number 3 in from this week's new comic book pickups for the week. So that means that the change here is that I'm still missing volume 6. So I added volume 6. It's 26 issues that I'm missing from volume 6, not including the issue number 3 that I just picked up here. So that got added here. We're also adding an update for Mr. Miracle here because Mr. Miracle was not on last week update. So we're going to add Mr. Miracle because I'm eventually going to finish up Mr. Miracle. And ironically so, I am down to the last 3 issues from volume 1. That is issue number 19, 23, and 24. Once I got those 3, I have pretty much everything that's Mr. Miracle that I could think of here, which means that I would have, once I have those 3, I would have all volume 1, 2, 3, 4, Mr. Miracle, Source of Freedom, and the Seven Soldier story for Mr. Miracle. I would have all of that. So that would finish out the Mr. Miracle collection here. And I am happy to report, because we got 160, we are now, excluding annuals, have everything that is Wonder Woman related from volume 1 from issue 158 to present. And the final countdown is now to 112 issues from issues below 158. I am currently tracking down a 157. If I get a 157, then we would have everything to, I believe, 146 to present, which means that, you know, if I'm able to track down and get a 157, that would mean there's 111 issues that is missing here, but we're getting closer and closer to our goal here. And yeah, Beast, you know, Beast was more of a party animal back then, you know, more lighthearted. Furriness made him rather serious. Yep, that's true. Look at me, I'm Joe. I make title cards instead of a checklist with my pinky finger out. Really, but this is something that people could look at and know exactly what I'm referencing here. So that what makes it easier. So title cards actually help. So that is the collector's update as far as the major collections that I actually have here. As far as the production update, and I know Elaine, I showed Elaine this sketchbook because we were talking about 2 weeks ago about art supplies and everything to that magnitude. So I have blank pages up in here, and I started back sketching again. So pretty much the updates that for this week, as far as what I'm doing comic book related, as far as art and stories and everything, I've started back sketching again just to get, you know, anatomy and all this other stuff taken care of, and getting back to the point where I could get back to drawing on Bristol boards. So we're still sketching, we're still moving along here, and I just started this one about 5 minutes before the show. So I'm working on sketching and trying to increase my speed and everything to that magnitude. I did finish the 1 chapter for Legends of the Giantess Slayer, which means that we got a big portion of issue number 4 already ready to go here. I do have to do another story for another chapter for the Legends series, and maybe change things a little bit more here, but it's all going to work out in the long run here. And Elaine is laughing. Yep. Yeah, I'm trying to work on, you know, getting better at doing different body types, at least drawing wise, as opposed to just, you know, what I do 3D rendering wise. You know, I need to get my regular pencil and pen skills back to where they need to be here. I've been out of practice, but then again, you know, with primetime Saturday night taking off, and it takes a lot of my focus off of Amazonia, where I'm forced to draw more so than anything else. But that's one of the major reasons why I have to do these updates the way that I do. And that's why I count on you guys to say, hey, Joe, did you draw anything this week? You know, show us what you did. Show us something new. Because with DeviantArt being the way that it is now, with its AI and Stash, and how people could take your artwork off of DeviantArt and use it for AI tools and stuff to that matter. I don't post there too much more. I do have a Patreon. I don't really post too much stuff as far as Amazonia there, but I do post a lot of stuff about Primetime Saturday Night and Legends of the Giants and Slayer there more so than anything else because people actually pay to see that more so. But I don't have a free outlet to just have people just to browse what I'm working on more so than anything. I mean, yeah, I could post it to Facebook, I could post things to Instagram, but when I do that, it's normally because I have a finished product that is ready to go and ready for to be sold. So I look at that as more as advertising as opposed to showing work in progress here. She's an epic pog. Beanie and Lils are at a sleepover because Monday's a holiday. That is correct. Monday is a holiday. And they are with Cupcake too. Yep. Hope they are having fun. You know, hug them for me. Yeah, I hope they don't get the poor Cupcake. Yeah, poor Cupcake. Oh no, no. I don't think they would do that. I don't think that they would do that here. But nevertheless, that is the production update for the week here. So that's going to bring us to tonight's topic here. Are we, as collectors, to blame for a lot of these modern scams that are happening? Now, normally I would have gone back to questions that people asked me until I saw this particular video here. Yeah, they might dress her up and put her in little clothing. Okay. Not collectors, dumbass dude bros. Well, I'm going to say let you be the judge here. This was the video that I saw. And it was talking about Absolute Batman sellers scamming buyers, a breakdown of the cardstock scandal. Now, mind you, Swaggle is one of these people that love the graded books. And, you know, I'm up here more for preservation. It's like that to me is the ultimate way for you to preserve your books the best way possible based upon knowing what grade that book is. But what he reported in this particular video just made my stomach turn so much to be like, this can only happen in this modern age of comic book collecting. With the way, and I have to say, the way that Parallax was saying about dude bros being stupid, with the price of the A cover for Absolute Batman #1 being the way that it is, and everybody and their grandmother trying to find a 9.8 copy of Absolute Batman #1, people have actually gone out and buy the variant version of #1, and the variant version of #1 are not fetching the same type of dollar amount. But they realize something. The cardstock variants, if you open them up, it has the original Absolute Batman A cover right there. It has the same barcode number right there as if it was a brand new as if it was a brand new A cover. So what they was doing here is detaching the cardstock cover. Someone actually sent it into CGC, got them graded, and was selling them as if they were A cover Absolute Batman. And it brought up, and he was up here. Well, it brings up the conundrum because you know, people. I understand how people love the A cover, and the A cover is fetching them so much money, but this is going to cause another problem because now it's probably going to make the whole thing about the variant cardstock covers more rare, or are they going to go back and try to reattach them and this, that, and the other? So it's like, stop, full stop. Let's look at the problem realistically, and let me bring myself back up here. I'm about to look at this problem realistically. This is a problem caused by, as Parallax would say, dude bros, I call them shady investors. The ones that want to get in, get out, make their money, or I have to have it by hook or by crook. The ones who up here is like, well, I'm going to create my own variant by not going to say names, but I was at the C2E2 where this actually happened. We're going to add an acetate cover to an existing book. We're going to send it into CGC. CGC is going to give us universal grades for it. And we're going to sell out of them, driving the demand up, knowing good and well that they're not supposed to be universal grade because they were not manufactured with the acetate on it. They added a second, third, and fourth staple to attach the acetate. What Swaggle just reported is essentially the exact same thing. They're trying to manufacture more A covers. Now, the problem that I have, I don't completely 100% blame the shysters. I blame DC. When I make my variant covers, I'm using this foil as an example, and no, I'm going to try not to get too many fingerprints on there. But you can see it's a nice little pretty cover. But when I open up this foil cardstock cover, it goes right into the story as if it was a regular issue. I do not keep the original A cover attached. If you're going to have a cardstock cover, you need to have it as the sole cover, nothing else. So in a way, I look at all those cardstock covers that has the A cover right behind it as manufacturing defects. The shysters are taking advantage of that. Even more so, I don't blame CGC, because technically CGC is not going to always look at the staples to see if something else was attached, especially if it still have what is considered the A cover, where the A cover does not look like it has been tampered. So it's just one of those things that it just irks me to no end to look at it from the standpoint, are we getting that desperate? I should say we are people who are into the investing, the quick flip, the ones that are trying to fund the hobby through the books themselves, getting that desperate, where they have to take these shysterous type avenues to get over on other collectors. Now, I agree with Swaggle Halls as far as what it's doing to the variants. It's cutting down on the number of them. And then what happens later? That cardstock cover that is now off to the side, do people try to sell that as a solo just cover by itself? It doesn't make any sense at that point. It doesn't. I mean, people are trying to do whatever they're going to do to try to make money the most shysterous way out of everything. But yet, those who are, as I call them, completionists, now have one less copy to go out there and seek for that variant. And it's just weird. It's just so much weird that these things are happening. Yeah, that cardstock cover crap has to stop. I agree. It's $1 more for 0 reasons. Yep. The cardstock should not have to. Again, you're saying the exact same thing I'm saying here. The vice president of Marvel Comics was pissed and was on the horn with, yeah. What I mean, they didn't produce it that way. And what makes it so messed up with Acetate Gate? If I was working for Marvel during that time as an artist, and I did that as an exclusive off of one of my covers, if I was the vice president of Marvel, I would have been like, bye bye. Pack up your things, you're gone. You don't do stuff like that. You just don't. It's like Star Wars issue 1, 5th printing. They did print the underneath. And that's something that you should not do. You should not do unless there's a purpose behind it. And it shouldn't be the full cover. It just should be like, the front facing, and the rest of it. It's like you shouldn't be able to take off the variant cover and have essentially another complete book. If you took off that cover, you're just like, oh, the book is now ruined. That's what it should always be here. So people are riffing off the 5th cover back, and even with that, it's like people can tell from the staples and everything that it was not the original one. All this stuff should stop. Blacklisted for Marvel would have been my ruling. Yep. I mean, it is. It's just that bad. That's one of the reasons why I'm up here. It's like, how is this a scam? It's like, oh, it's a scam. It's like, no, it's self-manufactured by people who are trying to get over. If you can't get a legitimate one, be happy with the variant. Don't try to game the system. And I think that's what the real problem is. Too many people are trying to game the system. The whole idea of collecting anything is not trying to gain a system. And that's what I have a problem with those who are trying to make the hobby pay for itself. You're trying to gain a system that does not truly exist in that format. I mean, perfect example. Let me go back. Another example, I should say. Where is it? I know it was one of the early books. Nope. I went too far. There it is. It's kind of like this one here. If this hip hop cover actually had the Jessica Jones #1 cover up under it, then what's the purpose? What's the purpose of having this as a variant? If anybody could take that cover off and make it just about undetectable because the actual A cover was more valuable, you think people are not going to try to game the system from it? It's silly. It's stupid. It doesn't make any sense. But yet, everybody wants to know, it's like, oh, it's CGC fault. Oh, it's this, that, and the other fault. Oh, it's blah, 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 blah fault. No, it's our fault. We don't have to always buy into the variant cover problem. We could always stay above board. But again, I'm not the type of person to tell you don't buy something if you like it or love it either. But you can't come back out here and say it's like, well, CGC needs to be a little bit tighter. It's like, no, you need to stop trying to game the system, because they might not catch one here and there. Does not necessarily mean that they're not going to catch you. And then on top of that, that book now becomes one of those things that you can't sell legitimately to say that this is truly an A cover, despite it has all the markings and everything to it, because deep down inside, you know that it was the cardstock variant. But it's just weird that in this day and age, people feel that that type of stuff is okay. People feel that what happened with Acetate Gate was, oh, that's a problem with CGC. It's like, no, that's a problem with the artist and the store that supported it, and the people who really wanted it. And granted, you people have their favorite artists and everything. I get that you want to support your favorite artists, but sometimes when these so-called scams come up, you have to look at it for what it is. Everybody wants to dump on CGC. No, that was not a dump on CGC. CGC messed up mainly because they thought it came from Marvel manufactured that way. It wasn't, and like Parallax said, it wasn't until the vice president of Marvel told them no, they were not manufactured. They did not come off the presses that way. That's when they knew that they messed up. So companies like that can always get misled in some form or some fashion, just like with this Absolute Batman. Not every last grader is going to check those staples to see if there's any remnants of cardstock in between that staple. I mean, it is what it is here. I can see the blank having a cover underneath it because the blank is just, you know, a piece of Bristol board with the trade dress. And it does make sense, you know, and that makes sense for every actually, I don't even do that way too for my blank covers. I don't even do that to have the A cover up under there. But that's just me. That's just me and how I produce my books. But I just thought about it was like, yeah, I have done several sketch covers of She-Hulk, Thor, and all had the A cover up under there. Even Black Panther, they all had the A cover up under it. So yeah, that does make sense here. And Elaine is laughing. I'll live. It's just sad. It's all. I mean, it's this modern age of collecting. I just don't know what it is, how more I could say it. It's something that I need the more modern age collector to kind of explain to me why go to these extents to try to game the system in that aspect here. I mean, granted, if you and a lot of the behaviors and stuff, I still attribute to how the actual publishers are treating these intellectual properties, and are treating these intellectual properties more so not based upon the strength of the stories that being told, but our buying habits more so. We being marketed to because of our buying habits, as opposed to being marketed to because it's a great story and I like it. It was like perfect example is like if I like Jenny Frison artwork, all of these different publishing companies are going to try to get Jenny Frison to do a variant cover. And if I'm that big of a fan of her artwork, I will go and grab every last Jenny Frison variant just because I need to have it, because I like her artwork. Doesn't necessarily mean that I will read the story behind that artwork. Meaning that if I read like, some god off of comic book #1 that had a Jenny Frison cover, doesn't mean that I'll read some god off of comic book #1, the story inside of it. I have that cover. I'm happy. I'm buying it for the artwork. That's, to me, is a problem. And this is being a collector for many years. It's like some things, I might buy a variant cover because I like the artwork, but more so I buy things because I want the complete run and I want the story. Whether it's good, bad, or indifferent, I'd rather have a complete run where I could always go back and reread. And it's like there's always going to be something that I miss that either is going to make me like the story more or hate the story more. But that's something that I get enjoyment out of it. Do I get enjoyment out of the artwork sometimes? Yes. But I get more out of the story. Other people get more out of the artwork. That's perfectly fine. But to charge more for the variant covers, to charge more for all this other stuff, and then have that manufacturing defect of what was going on here with Absolute Batman, to allow people to make that attempt, that is a problem. That is what is called being overly catered to. And then because you're being overly catered to, you want to point your fingers at everybody else but yourself. And it's a hard thing a hard pill to swallow, because nobody told you have to buy the C variant cardstock cover or the B variant cardstock cover. Nobody's holding a gun to your head to make you buy it. But because you wanted to have an Absolute Batman #1, you bought it. And then you see the skyrocketing price for the A cover, and then lo and behold, somebody figured out that the barcoding is the exact same on the inside cover. Everything is exact. Only thing I have to do is take the cardstock cover off of it. I can submit it in, hopefully get my 9.8, and I can make bank. If CGC misses it and you get that 9.8 and you sell it to somebody else, you just conned them. You sold them a bad book. Where's your sense of conscience at that point? Because if somebody did that to you, you would have been crying foul. You would be all on the internet ready to point a finger at CGC for not catching it. You wanted to be pointing a finger at the seller to say, oh, he could have been more upfront than this, that, or the other. And then you probably sit back, well, I'm upset at myself because I could have did it myself. I could have took one off of myself, did it myself and sent it in. The nature of the beast here is we as collectors need to take more responsibility for our choices and our purchases, period. Right, straight up, we have to take responsibility for it. If we didn't get an A cover, still go out there and search for an A cover. Just because you don't want to spend like the $400 something for a graded 9.8 doesn't necessarily mean that somebody does not have a first print #1 of Absolute Batman at a reasonable price. You just have to take your time and due diligence to go out there and find it here. So let me go ahead and get back to here. Somebody else up here. Oh, Parallax is saying foot dive. Your face is the problem. Yeah, just kidding. I know just kidding, but I just wanted to be the random meme. Okay, I kind of figured that. But if anything, the cardstock would protect the A cover underneath it for minty freshness. I'm just saying, you're just saying, and I agree. I agree. I mean, it just seems kind of silly. I never gave a crap about the A cover. The card stocks and the variants were usually nicer, and they usually are. But as of right now, people are paying a premium for that A cover, and people are, it's like people again. Those who want to have the hobby pay for themselves are always trying to game the system so they can have the hobby pay for itself. And I just not a major fan of that. I'm just not a big major fan of that because if I had to take that tone as far as collecting to have the hobby pay for itself, there's no way in the world that I could meet and keep up with those bubbles before the bubble bursts on a lot of different titles. As of right now, Absolute Batman is selling high and doing well. It will come to a point where it's going to level off, and then eventually you're going to have a dip. Right now, if I was one of those people that was having a hobby pay for itself, and I had a whole bunch of Absolute Batmans that were extra, I would be getting rid of them quick, fast, in a hurry if I was for that quick flip. But for me, I'm a long haul collector, meaning that I look at books that I look at stories that I like, and I plan to keep those books for 20, 30, 40 years. So by the time that I make my decision as far as what was going to be sold and what is not, I would know primarily what is truly a dollar bin book and what is really worth the money. And that's something that a lot of people don't know when they quick flip. You're chasing that bubble to make certain that that bubble doesn't burst on you before that book becomes worthless. Or you're trying to capture a book before it blows up so bad that you have people's ear and they're really ready to shell out that big bucks for that one copy here. And I just don't see it here. It's like, I never gave a crap. Yeah, the car stocks were just like, look at Ultimate Spider-Man. Issues 1 to 5 was crazy pricey. Now not so much. Exactly. If I get the 1940s one and I don't get to open up or get the stuff in the exhibit for like museums and stuff, yeah, that would probably be one that would stay in the collection, or I will have it in the will that it would probably get sold. But that's if I get one able to get it slabbed and just hold on to it and have it preserved here. I know that one, and I believe Wonder Woman, either number 6 or number 8, Wonder Woman for President. Those will be the two. Those would be the two that I would definitely make certain that they are slabbed and they get either sold off or always be preserved from some type of archive in the museum here. It makes me wonder if the variant covers should offer as a print in various sizes. No books, just the cover, and the artists get paid, or the guys just get the covers to get the art. Yes, I have always said that another aspect of modern comic book collecting has become more or less the poor man's art collection, mainly because of production value, because not every artist nowadays use Bristol boards, pencil and ink anymore. A lot of the books are being produced digitally. Therefore, a lot of the artwork is not considered original, where you have that one of one before it gets colored, or that one of one before it gets inked. None of that is is available anymore in a actual physical format. So people can get art prints of these books here, but it's not the same of having that one of one. So the next best thing to have that one of one is to grab the book, to buy the actual issue. It's not necessarily an art print, but it is something of value because you have the story behind it that the story came across here. Yeah, a lot of them are made into prints. Yes. I'd rather pay $20 for the print to the artist and get it signed. Actually, I would rather pay an artist anywhere between $80 to like $150 for the actual one of one that got to the point where it became a print. I'd rather pay the money for the original and not the print. But again, we got digital artists nowadays. A lot of them are doing stuff digitally. So that's why I try to save my Bristol board pencils for Amazonia the best that I can. Yeah, they make it into the full books because they keep selling up the 23,834 covers. Exactly. No one gives a crap about ASM right now. It has been terrible, but half naked black cat on the cover by J. Scott Campbell, and it sells out. And it kind of makes sense in that aspect of people buying it for the art. And like I said, I made fun of Jenny Frison, you making fun of J. Scott Campbell and his skinny people, but that's just me. I still don't think J. Scott Campbell can draw a full figured woman. His whole career is one body type. Jenny Frison has her own art style, just like you have fans of Peach Momoko and especially Scotty Young. Scotty Young has his fan club and everything, and there's nothing I could do as far as that is concerned here. But nevertheless, it is what it is here. And it's just what it boils back down to: understanding and taking responsibility for your purchases the way that you do it here. His fetish to J.O. to his wife. Yep. Don't call me, I'm busy. Yeah, exactly. I should have turned off the ringer here, but it is what it is here. It could wait for a few moments more so than anything else. But saying all that to say, it comes back to the topic. Are we are these particular type of collectors to blame? I say to a greater degree, yes, you just as culpable as everybody else in that chain, because of the simple fact that you're trying to take shortcuts. And because you're trying to take shortcuts, you're just as culpable as if CGC dropped the ball, as culpable as the person that sold the book, as culpable as the publisher that added that A cover, that had that A cover still part of the whole book. You're in that list of blame. There's no way around it. You're not as innocent as you think. Just like with Acetate Gate, you're not as innocent as you think. So it's kind of makes me wonder, it's like, as we get through more and more of these bigger so-called scams, especially in this modern age of collecting, do people really take in consideration of their part? I mean, again, this whole idea of collecting is based on supply and demand. If there's not enough supply out there, who's to say that nobody's going to make counterfeits, and you have to be caveat emptor. Let the buyer beware. Or be happy and be satisfied with what you purchase. If you got the card stock, be happy with the card stock. Enjoy it. Love it as just as you if you would love that A cover. And if you happen to come across an A cover that's horrible, you buy it then. I mean, I can't afford every comic book that comes my way, but there's some books that I look at and be like, it would be nice to have, but I just can't afford it. I just have to let it go. But that comes with maturity. That comes with understanding why you're collecting it and understanding your love for collecting. And knowing beyond a shadow of a doubt that you're doing everybody in the community justice by being, I don't want to say the word ethical, but you're doing your part to keep things on the up and up and fair. I'm not going to destroy a variant to try to trick people into buying what appears to be a valid A cover. And when we say a valid A cover, we're talking about the whole book as presented before that cardstock cover is attached. It's not the fault of CGC if they don't catch it. You have to put a question mark about the person who sold it to you and question their morals. But ultimately, if you bought it, it's still your responsibility because you should have been aware. Caveat emptor. Let the buyer beware. But that's my rant about that here. Hopefully you guys understand where I was coming from, why this actually turned my stomach sideways. And just listening to how it got to the point where I just felt like people wanted to point fingers every which way, but at themselves. It's like, I need to be a little bit more careful. I need to be a little bit more patient. I need to go to somebody some vendors that I actually trust to see if I could get an actual A cover for a decent price, as opposed to rolling the dice and going out there to greed bait, hoping that people are not doing exactly what was mentioned, taking that cardstock cover off and say, here's an A cover for you. And then if you did fall for it and go and get it graded, you're rolling the dice to see if CGC catches it or not. And if CGC catches it, now you have to shit creeks without a paddle because of the simple fact that you lost out on a variant and it could not be verified as a pure A cover. So, I hate to pull a Jerry Springer, but we have to be kind to one another in this collecting sphere. Be kind to one another. Don't try to, shyster. And this is, to me, this is a shyster type deal here. So on that note, is there anything else that you guys want to talk about? Because that's all that I got for this week here. I didn't prepare one of those weird questions that people ask me at shows here. I'm going to save some more questions for a different day. But is there anything else that you guys want to talk about before we close the show here? Because we're just at the beginning of the second hour and I don't have much of anything here because I thought we were going to be talking about more stuff, about the actual comic book pickups and the collecting aspect as far as the updates, a little bit longer than what actually came about here. So I'm just going to wait and see if anybody comments. If not, we're just going to go ahead and close up shop for the evening. It doesn't look like anybody got anything to say here. So On that note, I'm going to give my East Coast friends at least 55 more minutes of their Saturday. Everybody else, go enjoy the rest of your Saturday here. Live life, grow, and be well. And we are out. See you here next Saturday for another episode of From the Desk of a Small Press Publisher. Have a good rest of your weekend and enjoy Martin Luther King Jr. Day on Monday. Enjoy it the best way that you can. See ya. Bye.